In a village cloaked in mystery, where time itself seems to stand still, lies the ominous Mormont Mansion, an abandoned relic of despair. For generations, whispers of the mansion's haunting secrets have plagued the villagers. Beyond the crumbling walls and shadowed halls, a mirror of unparalleled beauty awaits. Its allure irresistible. It's said to hold the key to another realm. You are listening to Midnight Narrative, and today's story is Whispers of the Vanished. Let's start, shall we?
The dusty, old, abandoned mansion loomed like a shadow over Blackwood Village, a decrepit relic of a time long past. For nearly a century, its rotting timbers and shattered windows bore witness to the eerie silence that enveloped it. The last living souls to dwell within its decaying walls were Lady Mormont and her 2 children, whose mysterious disappearance sent shivers down the spines of villagers. Whispers of their fate circulated through the town, as tales of ghostly apparitions and eerie, otherworldly occurrences plagued anyone who dared to approach the haunted mansion. Over the course of the last century, a sinister pattern emerged in Blackwood Village. Children began to vanish mysteriously within the mansion's shabby confines. Initially, the village responded with search parties, their lanterns casting eerie glows in the mansion's dark corners, but these efforts yielded no trace of the missing children. As the unsettling disappearances continued, fear seized the hearts of the villagers, and an unspoken, ominous pact emerged. They forbade their children from venturing anywhere near the accursed mansion. Whispers and rumors shrouded the mansion in an impenetrable fog of dread. Among the most chilling tales was that of a hidden chamber, said to exist somewhere within the mansion's labyrinthine depths. According to the rumor, once one ventured into this chamber, there was no return. It was as if the chamber swallowed its victims whole, erasing them from existence. Beth, a bright-eyed 12-year-old girl, brought a glimmer of youthful exuberance to the village when she and her parents arrived, her father's work at the nearby rail station having brought them to Blackwood. Her cheerful demeanor and love for animals charmed the villagers, and she quickly became a beloved presence in the close-knit community. However, even her infectious enthusiasm couldn't dispel the shadow cast by the haunted mansion. Beth had heard the chilling stories whispered among her peers and felt the unease that seemed to permeate the very air around the decrepit structure. Unlike her usual adventurous self, she wisely kept her distance from the mansion, her curiosity tempered by a growing sense of dread that hung over the village like a shroud. One fateful day, on her way back from her friend Evelyn's house, Beth's youthful curiosity led her astray. Spotting a rabbit darting through the woods, she couldn't resist the urge to chase after it, the thrill of the pursuit driving her deeper into the labyrinthine forest. As the seconds turned into minutes, Beth realized with a growing sense of unease that she had lost track of the rabbit, and the dense woods had swallowed her up. Panic gripped her heart as she wandered aimlessly for what felt like hours. Finally, just as despair began to set in, she stumbled upon the edge of the forest and emerged, startled and disoriented, only to find herself standing before the looming, forbidding gate of the dreaded Mormont Mansion. The atmosphere turned even darker, and the eerie presence of the mansion sent shivers down her spine. Frozen in place by a combination of fear and fascination, Beth couldn't tear herself away from the foreboding gate, even as she contemplated fleeing in the opposite direction. Then, in the stillness of the gloomy afternoon, she heard it, the ethereal sound of children's laughter, joyful and carefree. It sent a chill coursing down her spine. The whispers grew louder, distinct voices of children playing. Unable to resist the haunting allure, Beth cautiously pushed open the large, creaking wooden door of the mansion. As she peered inside, her heart pounded in her chest. There, in the dimly lit interior, she saw the shadowy figures of two children, their forms dancing and laughing, even as the mansion's eerie silence seemed to echo their spectral mirth. Beth summoned her courage and raised her voice. Her words, filled with a desperate urgency, pierced the eerie stillness of the mansion's interior. "Hey, you should not come here. This is not a good place. You should not play here," she called out from just outside the gate, her voice trembling but resolute. However, her warning seemed to fall upon deaf ears, for the spectral children continued their haunting play, their laughter echoing eerily through the darkened halls, oblivious to the living presence at the threshold. Beth shouted again, her voice more determined this time, "Hey, listen to me, get out of here." The children abruptly halted their play, their ghostly figures casting eerie shadows in the dim light. They stood by the open door, two ethereal forms with blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, appearing to be about the same age as Beth. The boy and girl exchanged glances before the boy spoke, his voice a distant whisper. "We play here often. There's nothing to worry about." The girl chimed in with a serene smile, "Come with us, Beth. We'll show you around the mansion." Beth hesitated, her instincts warning her of the danger, but her curiosity overcame her caution. With a shaky breath, she stepped across the threshold into the chilling embrace of the haunted mansion, her heart pounding in her chest. Inside the mansion, a long, dimly lit hallway stretched before them, its walls adorned with faded portraits of stern-faced ancestors who seemed to scrutinize Beth's every step. As they walked, Beth continued to chat with the children, learning that their names were Eliza and Jonah. They had indeed lived in the village with their mother, their father having met a tragic end in an accident that cast a perpetual pall over their home. Eliza explained, "Our mother is very sad about our dad's passing. She stays locked in her room most of the time." Jonah nodded in agreement, his spectral gaze distant. "So, we play here on our own," he added with a wistful smile. Curious, they asked Beth about her home, and as the conversation flowed, Beth's initial unease gave way to a sense of comfort. The trio continued to explore the dimly lit corridors, their footsteps echoing through the stillness. Along the long corridor, portraits of generations of the mansion's former inhabitants adorned the walls. Beth glanced at each portrait in passing, the faces of lords and ladies, accompanied by their children, gazing down at her. But then, something caught her eye, and she abruptly stopped in her tracks. Her breath was caught in her throat as she stared, wide-eyed, at the final picture on the wall. In the faded photograph, the final residents of the mansion stared back at Beth with an eerie familiarity. The image depicted a couple, their features marked by an unmistakable melancholy, and two children, a girl and a boy, their blonde hair and piercing blue eyes mirroring those of Eliza and Jonah, the spectral companions she had been following. Beth's heart pounded with a mixture of dread and realization as the pieces of the chilling puzzle fell into place. These children were not mere apparitions, they were the very same children who had disappeared without a trace a century ago, the same children who had lured her into the haunted mansion's enigmatic depths. The eerie truth sent a shiver down her spine as the mansion's dark secrets began to unravel before her eyes. Panic gripping her, Beth frantically tried to retrace her steps and find an exit, but the mansion's labyrinthine halls seemed to twist and turn, leading her deeper into its foreboding interior. Just when desperation threatened to consume her, she stumbled upon a peculiar room, its stark emptiness in stark contrast to the opulence of the mansion's decor. In one corner stood an ornate mirror, its design captivatingly beautiful. As Beth was about to turn away from the room, something compelled her to glance back at the mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, but this time, the Beth in the mirror was different. Instead of fear, there was a serene smile on her face, an unsettling contrast to the terror that still gripped her heart. The eerie transformation left her paralyzed, her sense of reality spiraling into the unknown. Beth stood there, caught in a surreal trance, her reflection in the beautiful yet haunting mirror addressing her in a strangely soothing tone. "Don't be scared. Come here, come with us, and you won't have to worry about anything. We will be happy here. Come with me." Her reflection beckoned, its voice an eerie whisper that seemed to bypass her senses. As if summoned by an otherworldly force, Eliza and Jonah materialized beside her, their spectral presence hovering in the dimly lit room. Jonah's voice, barely audible, entreated, "Come with us, Beth. Come with us to the other side. We can play together forever." Eliza nodded, her eyes imploring, "There are others there too. They already like you very much, Beth. You'll like them too. Come with us. Nobody will bother us anymore." Exhausted, her mind muddled by the mansion's supernatural influence, Beth took a hesitant step forward and reached out to touch the surface of the mirror. A peculiar ripple coursed through the glass, and then, in an instant, everything froze. The room stood empty once again, devoid of any trace of Beth. The mansion's chilling secrets had claimed another victim, its dark allure leaving an indelible mark on the village's eerie legend. The secrets of what had transpired within the mansion's walls remained locked away, known only to the old, dusty timbers and the echoing whispers of its chilling history. Just as the truth of a century ago remained shrouded in mystery, Lady Mormont's descent into darkness had been a well-kept secret. Consumed by her grief after her husband's tragic demise, she had delved into the forbidden realms of dark magic and the occult. Desperate to bring her beloved back from the abyss of death, she had unwittingly unleashed forces beyond her comprehension. The price she paid for tampering with the unnatural was hidden away, a haunting legacy that continued to cast its malevolent shadow over the mansion and all who ventured near, drawing them into its eerie, otherworldly grasp. Evelyn's concern had deepened into genuine worry. Beth had left her house almost 3 hours ago, but she had not reached home. Her mother came to Evelyn to ask about her daughter. Evelyn tried to look for her friend, but she could not find Beth. It was in this state of heightened concern that Evelyn, on her way back home and just passing by the mansion, heard something. She stopped. Laughter, the joyful laughter of children, echoed from within the mansion's dark interior. No, it couldn't be a trick of the wind. It sounded unmistakably like Beth's voice. Yes, that's definitely Beth's voice. Her heart pounding, Evelyn hesitated for a moment, then took a tentative step toward the mansion, a growing sense of dread intertwining with her determination to find her missing friend. Evelyn's heart raced as she boldly stepped through the mansion's imposing gate, her voice echoing through the eerie silence. "Beth, what are you doing here? Your parents are worried sick. Why didn't you go home? You shouldn't be here," she implored, her concern evident in her trembling words. Beth emerged from the open doorway, her once familiar features now carrying a disconcerting serenity. She responded in a soft, melodic voice, "Don't worry, Evelyn. Come with me. I'll show you inside the mansion. There's nothing to be scared of. Afterward, we can go back together." Evelyn hesitated, the tension between her deep concern for Beth and the overwhelming aura of the mansion's ominous history pulling at her. Despite her reservations, she couldn't resist the call of her friend and the unsettling promise of the mansion's secrets, and she cautiously stepped further into the dimly lit interior, her footsteps echoing ominously in the silence.
You were listening to Whispers of the Vanished. We still don't know what happened to Lady Mormont and her children and how the mysterious mirror appeared. But don't worry. Maybe we can find out all our answers in another story. So, subscribe to our channel. But for now, it is time to say goodbye.